Hello students, today we are going to discuss some topics from the chapter 6. Our chapter 6 is statements and scope, that is the conditional and looping statements in Java. So this chapter focus more on conditional and looping statements in Java. Okay. The control statements in Java are mainly classified into three. So the control statements in Java mainly classified into three. They are selection statements, iteration statements, and jump statements. Okay. First, let's see what is a selection statement is. So selection statements are also called decision making statements, right? So it helps us to take some decisions, right? So we have already seen the use of if statements, switch statements. All these statements comes under the selection statements. So this is the right time for us to revise all these things, right? These are the basic Java concept. So here we are getting another opportunity to revise all these things. So here we can see what is a selection statement, and here under the selection statement you can see if statement and switch statements are listed. Okay. First we can see the different type of if statements. So when we say if statements in Java, it could be either a simple if or it could be if else. Next one is if else ladder, that is if else, if that we can see in detail. Then the fourth one is the nested if. So we can have different type of if statements. First we can see the use of a simple if statement. So when we consider a simple if statement, only one condition is checked, that is we are checking the if condition. If that particular condition is true, then only the statements inside the if block may execute, right? And if the condition is false, then it will not execute the statements inside the if block. So whenever the if condition is true, then only the statements inside the if block will execute. Okay. Okay, here you can see the flowchart is drawn for our if statement. So here you can see that we start the operation. If the condition is true, then the statements executing. If the condition is false, that is the end of the program. I hope you understand this. It's very simple, right? Here we got a sample program. You please see that. So here it is a simple program. It is asking the user to enter the marks. Suppose if the mark is more than 36 or more than 36, then only it will print you are pass. You pass the exam, right? So the condition is that mark should be greater than or equal to 36. Whenever the mark is more than 35, we can say whenever the mark is more than 35, that is 36 or more than 36, it is a pass. Otherwise it will not execute, right? So it is a simple example of a if statement. Our next type of if statement is if else. So this particular statement having two parts. One is the if condition block and else condition block. Whenever the if condition is true, the statements inside the if block will execute. And whenever the condition is false, the statements inside the else block will execute. That is, let me repeat again. Whenever the condition is true, then the statements inside the if block, that is the statements inside the if block means you can see that after the if there is a curly braces are there, so whatever comes inside, it is a part of the if block. Then when the condition is false, the statements under the else block will execute. Okay. Here you can see the working of the if else statement using the flowchart. So this is a flowchart, right? Sometimes if I ask you to draw the flowchart, I hope you might have learned in the lower classes how we can draw a flowchart. If you are not learned, no problem. This is the right time to learn all these basic things, right? Okay. So first we have the start button. When we start, the condition is checking. Once the condition is true, you can see that the statements inside the true block. Then condition is false. Then false block will be executing. And both of this after the execution of either true block or the false block, it will lead to the end of the program. Okay. So when we use a if else statement in your Java program, either true block or false block may execute. There is no chance of executing both together, right? Either try statements from the true block or the statements from the false block. Okay. Here, what you can see, it is just a summary of what we have learned about if else statement. So this is having two statement blocks, that is a truth block and a false block, right? If the condition is true, then the true block will execute. If the condition is false, the false block may execute. Okay, here in this example, I can see that I am using the same example. In our last example, it was we have only one condition, only if part was there. Now we have added the part that is the else part. Whenever the mark is less than 36, it is a fail, right? When it is more than 36 or more than 36, it's a pass. Otherwise, it is a fail, right? So we can, of course, we can use the if else statement here, right? We can see the ladder if, that is if else if statements, right? So basically we can say that when we say the ladder statement means, so here you can see in this syntax, inside the else part there is another condition checking. See the condition 2, it actually locates inside the else part of the first selection statement. If condition 1, then there is a set of statements, else again we have to check the condition 2, right? So whenever it is, so it can be called as a ladder if statements. So here you can see the flowchart of the ladder if. Okay. So the condition is there. If it is true, we have the true block. If the condition is false, we have another set of checking process, right? Okay, here you can see one example for the ladder if statement. Okay, so here you see if marks less than 36, you are going to print it as you have failed, and in the else part actually it is a pass, but again we are categorizing that inside the else part we have another condition checking. If the mark is greater than or equal to 60, we have to print it as you go to first division. If mark greater than 60, you have to print it as first division. Otherwise, we have to print it as you have got second division, right? So please take some time to understand this program, right? You just try all these programs on the BlueJ and see what kind of results you are getting, right? you can just rely on your textbook. There are many solved examples are there, right? Along with this video, you please spend some time with the textbook and try all the exercises in the textbook. That is going to help you to score good marks in the examination. Okay. When we say nested if statement, the nested if can be any part of the program. That is, the nested if can be inside the if block of the first condition, or it could be inside the else block of the first condition, right? So please see the syntax here. The second condition checking, it could be inside the else part or it could be inside the if part, right? Both way it is possible, right? Again we have the flow chart for the nested if statement, right? So we have the condition checking. Here in this one we have the second condition inside the false, inside the else part of that, and here you can see that the second condition checking is inside the if block, right? So whatever it is, you just need to understand this. When we say nested if, it could be a part of the if block or it could be a part of the else block. Okay students, here we have some exercises, right? So you just first see this program, right? Once you understand the main logic of the program, you just try to type it on your BlueJ and see what is the result it is producing. And similarly we have the another program. In the last you have seen that the second condition is inside the else. Here we have the second condition checking is inside the if block, right? So you both way you try, okay? It may help you to understand the nested if statements, okay? So please spend some time to type this program on your computer and see the result you are getting, right? Okay, now we have one important statement, that is a switch statement. Okay, a switch statement is used to test many conditions, right? So please first understand the syntax. Switch, we have an expression or a variable checking is there, right? Actually here there is no condition checking, so we are just putting some expression or variable inside the switch brackets. Inside the switch we have different cases, different case values. Based on the case values, the case statements may execute, right? So please see that associated with each case there is a break statement. Even though it is saying that break is optional, you know what happens whenever there is no break in the case values. It may lead to a condition called fall through, right? So I already told you it is a right time to just revise the topics we have already learned in the 11th class or 10th class. You learned about what is a fall through. Whenever there is no break statement inside the case values of switch statement, what happens? It may lead to the fall through, right? Okay, I told you about what happens if there is a case values without break. It may lead to the execution of all the statements inside the case blocks, right? Even though we are saying break is optional, but I could say whenever you want the right output, you have to use the break statement, right? Suppose here you can see that whenever case A is true, there is a chance that it may execute case A statement, case B statements, case C statements, and default statements also, right? Suppose case B is there. So suppose case B is true, it may print case B. Then the following statements cases also will execute. Suppose case C is there. So suppose case C is true, then it will print the case C statements followed by the other statements. Do you want me to repeat again? Suppose case A is true, so it will print case A statements, but there is no break, so it may print case B statements also, and case C, etc., and it also print the default statements. Suppose case B is true, it may print case B, case C, and default statements. Okay. We can have the flowchart of a switch statement with break. Okay, here you see, suppose case A, which is true, so it will execute case A statements. Then break means that is the end of the execution. Suppose case A is false, then it may check whether the value equals with case B. Suppose if it is case B is true, then it may print case B statements only because of the presence of break statements. If nothing matches, it may print the default statement, right? Suppose case C is true. In that case, it may print case C only, right? I hope you understand the difference between the switch statement with the break and without break. I just want you to type a similar program on your computer and see. You just pick some examples from the textbook and you just include the break inside the cases and see how it is executing, and then remove the break statements and you see the difference it brings in the output process. Okay. Whenever we discuss about the switch statement, the classic example comes in front of us. It is the printing of the name of the day in a week by accepting the integer input between 1 to 7, right? Suppose if you input 1, it may print Monday, because associated with each case there is a break, so we can say it will print only that particular case, right? Okay, I hope you take some time to type this on your computer and see what result you are getting, right? It's a very easy programming task, right? Now we have some theoretical explanation about the switch statement. You might have noticed switch. Inside the switch, we have the switch. First, inside the bracket, we have to use a variable or an expression. This variable, it could be a byte, short, int, char. Okay. If you are using an advanced version of the Java, then it can also accept string, right? Let me repeat again. If you are using an older version of the Java, then the switch statement can only byte, short, int or char. If you have an advanced version, you can also use the string type of variables, right? Then the second one is you can have any number of case statements in a switch. Yes, there is no limitation. You can include as many cases as you want. Okay. Then see that each case is followed by the value to be compared to a colon. Okay. the value for a case must be the same data type as the variable in the switch. Okay, right? Suppose we are using an integer, that case value also an integer. Suppose you are using a car, the case value should also be a car. Then when the variable is being switched on is equal to a case, the statements following that case will execute until a break statement is reached. So this is what happens whenever the absence of break statements, it may execute all the following cases, right? So it is better to use the break statement after the case statements, each case statements. Okay. Okay, when a break statement is reached, the switch terminates and the flow of control jumps to the next line following the switch statement. Okay, whenever there is a break statements in switch cases means that is the end of the switch. It will jump out of that and it will print the next line after the switch statement. Okay, not every case needs to contain a break, right? If no break appears, the flow of control will fall through to a subsequent cases until a break is reached. This is called the fall through in switch cases, right? So this statement you can use for defining what is a fall through in switch case, right? If no break statement appears, the flow of control will fall through to subsequent cases until a break is reached, right? Next one is a switch statement can have an optional default case which must appear at the end of the switch, right? Sometimes we may not use the default case, right? Sometimes that is why it is listed as optional, right? The default case can be used for performing a task when none of the cases is true. So the default case execute whenever the inputted value doesn't have a matching case, right? And no break is needed in the case of default case. Okay students, that is the end of today's session, right? Please spend some time to read the textbook and understand all these concepts. As you can see, our chapter 6, again you are getting an opportunity to revise the topics or revise the lessons what you have learned in the previous classes and you might have learned in 10th classes, you have learned the same in 11th class also. So this time you just use this time to revise all the topics. Okay, I will see you with another video in the next class. Till then, bye, take care.